that. And about the time Mom should have been there, I picked up the camera, took this picture. This is what Ma should have seen. Anyway, about 45 minutes later, he wakes up, and I look at him, and he kind of, blinking his eyes. Pa, it's 45 minutes, Ma hasn't come here yet. And Pa kind of gets that look. And he kind of looks at me out of the corner of his eye. He says, I think if people find out we're buying hamburgers for dead men, they're going to think there's something wrong with that. I looked back at him and I said, Paul, I think you're on something. Let's see. Okay. Another thing Paul had a thing with, remember that I mentioned the wallet? The wallet was a thing. There were wallet thieves abounding everywhere. They come out at night, and he would always tell me how people were trying to steal his wallet. And then I would keep his wallet in a special spot and keep showing it to him. Well, that worked for a while. Then they came in and took money out of my wallet. So then we took Dad and we sat down and here, Paul, and we counted out the money in his wallet. This is how much money you have. Time passes. He bought us, I think it was lunch or something one time. He was taking money out of his wallet and stuff. And later on, he'd come up with things saying, I got to get Sherry some money. He says, $188. I don't know why. Oh, I got to get this. Got to buy this. That'll probably be $188. Everything was $188. It was only after he died, and I went back and pulled his wallet out there, counted it out, it was $188 in that wallet. Another one of my favorite things, Lori has, somewhere, she has filmed Dad, but he never did lose his appetite. The guy was always, as you're keenly aware, all for sweets or particularly, but just in general, he would eat and sleep, even with La La Land food. That's the thing. Soup. You watch him eating soup, and he'd sit there for I don't know how long eating soup. God knows what that was, but that was something that he just continued to do. Yes, I mentioned the dream places here. 2 weeks, I was facing the computer or the television set, and Dad had been quiet for quite a long time. And out of the blue, he says, "What all is wrong with me?" And I went, now, that's quite a list. Well, let's sit down and go figure this one out. And so, okay, you got COPD, you got heart failure, you got myasthenia gravis. Oh yeah, I forgot about myasthenia gravis. Yes, you did. You got an aneurysm. We picked you up because you had a stroke, which you could have another one of. So, and there's probably something else that I'm not thinking about, but that's a good start on what you got, Paul. Yeah, I got to tell you, Paul, if I come in there one of these days and find you dead, and then some people are going to jump up and ask me, "Hey, what did Pete die of?" I'm not going to know what to tell them. There's just so much. Just take your choice. Oh, okay. 2 weeks later, he was dead. And just sure enough, if any of you ask me what killed him, I haven't got a clue. And Paul and I discussed that at great length before it happened. Television. That as frequently happens with folks that are all stove up and can't go anywhere or do anything. Television becomes your life. The Lone Ranger, Roy Rogers, and Price is Right was the great triumvirate of television viewing, and he would frequently sleep through most of those programs. But Lori and I have seen every single episode of Roy Rogers' Lone Ranger Price is Right. Well, not Price is Right, it's the University of Film. Another thing I wanted to touch on it toward the end here is another one of my childhood memories about Dad. Is he would come home after work every day, and I'd go, "Check your change, Dad, check your change, I want to see." Back in 1962, 63, you get a pocket full of change, every now and so often there'd be a dateless Buffalo Head nickel in there. Or there'd be these Mercury dimes that are all beat to hell, you know, they're still there. Or standing Liberty quarters. Boy, those were cool. And Dad let me have them if I could find them in his change. So every day, it was a thing. Let me check your change, let me check your change. One day, Pa comes home and checks your change and pulls the change out and puts it on the table. And I run up there and start to check through it, and there's an Indian head penny. And there's a V nickel. There's a barber head dime in there. You don't see those things in 1962. And my little tiny brain was swimming. "Dad, you set me up." And sure enough, he had. He went down to the coin shop. And I don't know how familiar you are with coin shops, but they have little containers of beat up, worthless, old, low-grade coins. You can pick them up for something. That's what he did. But I still have those coins, by the way. I still have them. Then, on a related note, Dad would go get his gas, and I don't know how many of you remember it, the Cardinal gas station on 10th Avenue South. And we would go down there, and in those days, the gas station attendants had a leather pouch on their side. And if you bought, you know, a lot of gas, like $5 worth, and you gave them a 10, they would give you $5 silver in change. And that was standard procedure. That was the way they were set up to do things. And first time I went with Dad to get gas, and I think he got $1 and some change back. And of course, I was interested in the change, but I seen him hand up this huge thing to Dad, like maybe the lid off of a can. "What's that?" "Well, that's $1. "Let me see it." 1884. That's nuts. You know, "Dad, can I have, oh, Dad, this is so cool." You know, and so I got one of those silver dollars. And over the years, he let me have a number of them. Sometimes he couldn't spare a buck, so I had to buy one off of him. With change or whatever. But I would get the cool dollar. And so anyway, on that note, something that kind of surprised me that happened in later years. Now we're talking about 1973, and all of this stuff that's going on in 1963 and 64, maybe as late as 65, it's all come and gone. And Dad hops up and he buys these 3 sets from the Mint, and they're Carson City silver dollars. There had been a bag of Carson City silver dollars had been found in the Mint. The Mint took those dollars, put them in these display cases, which has a special inscription from Richard Nixon on them, and they were selling those. And Dad ordered 3 different years of those, like 1883 and 1882, right in there. And anyway, when he got those, I saw them when they came in, but they had nothing to do with me. Took those silver dollars and he put them in the safe deposit box. 1973. I didn't see those again for another 25 years. Dad needed me to sign some papers that he had in the safe deposit box. Go to the safe deposit box, open it up. All the papers here, you need to sign this, and there's those 3 things of silver dollars. And then I didn't see him again for a long time, until Pa became infirm enough. He gave up the safety deposit box, had all the stuff. "Here, Dave, it's yours. You watch this stuff for me." So that's what it was. Now, it was like, it wasn't really mine, it was never really mine. And it was almost like Dad didn't know what it was for either. But he bought it and he held onto it in a safe deposit box all this time. And it seems to me, now, when I look back at everything, that the help Pa got from really all of you folks is so incredible. But I think there's a few of you folks I would like to give one each of these dollars to remember him by. One, of course, is Mick and Deb. They did a lot of the heavy lifting. It's not worth zillions of dollars. If you went to buy them, they're worth like $220 a piece. You would go to sell them, I bet they're about $150. Another is Marilyn and Steve, and they were there helping Pa. And then at last, I think I give to the miners. An appreciation for having all this for us. And I'll go out to the car and get them right now. And that's the end for me.